The Dearborn Independent, Chronicler of the Neglected Truth, December 5th, 1925, Volume 26, Number 7, Mr. Ford's page. Most radical social reform schemes assume that division instead of creation will solve the problem of the distribution of wealth. Division is decrease, creation is increase. Wealth, which is not money, cannot help flowing when enough is created. In Russia, they divided the houses instead of building them. Result, a worse condition than before. In America, we do not divide, we increase houses, and are in consequence the best house nation in the world. Division means that there is nothing more to be had, that natural resources and human ingenuity are exhausted. This is false. Any man can get what any man has got by making it. Resources abound. Shall we divide wealth and so have less, or create wealth and so have more? Wealth, of course, being the things that men use, the commodities of life, this definition has to be made because the world still stupidly believes that money is wealth. And then it complains of the money power. The only power which the money brokers wield is that given them by the people's belief that money is wealth. If money is wealth, why do we bother with bakeries and textile mills and farms and machine shops? In the belief that wealth is money and that there is just so much of it to go around, the ignorant of the world conceive a plan to seize the money and divide it. On several occasions they have succeeded, but somehow the money never was divided and the real wealth, food, shelter, clothing, security, convenience, all commodities of life, ceased to exist. As often as that ignorant method is tried, the same result will follow. And so far as this is the protest against money and in favor of true wealth, it is intelligible, but it needs instruction. The wealth creators of the world are the only potent enemies of the money brokers and money kings. Neither money nor its broker owners can create wealth, but when a real wealth creators appear, he makes money and its brokers a secondary matter. The fight then begins to get control of him. As long as he continues to create wealth, he is safe. When he begins merely to make money, he is gone. The money brokers become his masters. The greatest blow dealt to the antisocial forces of money and oppression are dealt by the producers of wealth. When the producers of wealth are induced, as they were in Russia, to seize that production and enter a mad scramble for the money, they simply deliver themselves into the hands of the money brokers again, and in deeper bondage than before. In this sense, revolutions are always favorable to the money brokers. This is the simple principle whose clear perception will do what all the idealists, reformers, and honest revolutionaries are seeking. That equality is in possession and not deprival, and that possession is always possible through creation. That is, if the world wants what its social spokesman says it wants, let's create it. Everything it wants is accessible, more accessible than ever before. Productive work, even 50 years ago, was much more difficult, but now more methods are known, natural resources are more abundant, ways and means have multiplied. The earth, which is the source of all wealth, is an open door compared with what it was to our fathers. All the wealth, all the raw materials of wealth, all supply of physical needs, all future services, all inventions, all means of development are there. They await the creative activity of man. Dividing what we have is nothing. Creating more is our job. Does anyone suppose that dividing the money is going to have any effect on this? It will have none at all. In Russia, they divided up the houses. In America, we do not divide the houses. Why? Because in America, we say any man can get a house without taking one away from his neighbor. Let him get a house where his neighbor got one. How did this neighbor get one? He created it by his labor. When society begins to seize houses for general division, it is acting as if there were no more food, wood, or stones or clay out of which to make bricks, no more labor, no more knowledge or how to construct houses, no more market for houses, no more people to be housed. That precisely is the belief of those who are always talking about dividing up. They assume that there is no more to be had. This is the basic fallacy. There is more wealth waiting to be owned and used than is now or ever has been known. There can be no owner or user of wealth except the man who creates it. Sources of natural wealth are not exhausted. The only thing that seems to be exhausted is the ingenuity and energy of those who want what others have instead of wanting what is their own. In the last analysis, no one can have anything that others have. One can only have one's own. The one's own is the product of one's ingenuity and energy combined. The more he makes for himself, the more inevitably he makes for others. The less he makes for himself, the less there is for anyone. And then comes the diseased state of mind, which suggests that dividing the other man's product equalizes the wealth of the world. It never has. It dissipates the wealth of the world.